This episode is sponsored by Zenro Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenroclothingco.com and be sure to use offer code Socrates at checkout for 20% off select items. Also, if you're not into spending the money, just check out the Zenro radio playlist. zenroclothingco.com, music for your everyday. This episode also sponsored by The Pointian Bakery. If you're located in the Pointian area of Scarborough, Toronto, be sure to check out The Pointian Bakery, say what's up to Arville, and pick up a donut or two. Baked daily, crafted with love. This episode also sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the podcasting platform of choice. It's the one that me and Vish use, and is great, you know, if you're looking to start that DIY podcast yourself. Definitely check out Podbean. Use the link podbean.com/SocraticGamers and gain 1 month of unlimited podcasting for free. Test it out, build that content. Anyone could podcast, right, Vish?
Yep.
Start a podcast and get your ideas out there. All right, enjoy the episode. Mm-hmm. All right, cool. So I'm not too sure how long we actually have for this one. That's why I wanted to jump on really quickly. Yeah, I have to do something right after this. I'm just waiting for Tara to get back. So we'll just jump straight into the main topic, which we don't usually do per week. Oppenheimer. We both saw it now. You saw it you saw it twice.
I saw it twice, yeah.
Yeah, how was it the second time? Was it still good?
Oh, yeah.
Were you like, oh, it's good? All right, cool. Yeah, watching it the first time, I was like, I get why you wanted to watch it twice, because the speed was so quick and they were throwing so much information at you.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think was interesting about this movie is the reception of it. So a lot of people are really talking about the Barbie thing, right?
Yeah.
It, like, equally they are talking about Oppenheimer, but there's so much attention towards Barbie as well as Oppenheimer. But I feel like Barbie's outshining Oppenheimer, right? But I think the relevancy of this movie makes me question, like, how come we're not paying more attention to Oppenheimer and like what it's saying and the implications of that as compared to Barbie. Not that like women's rights isn't important, because, you know, that's why Barbie's up there and stuff, and equality, but there are some major issues here going on that we don't usually bring to light, you know, because it's so dark.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. You think it's like
I think that's what it is.
Darkness?
I think that's what it is. Because when I first watched it, I was like you come out of it like not like, oh, what have we, like in your own head? It's like, oh, what have we done? Like you're silent. Where it's I think in the Barbie thing, it seems like it's like some, I don't know. I didn't see the Barbie movie, so maybe it's what it seems like is like, you know, people are talking about it because there's something. I guess how it ended, like light. You want light. Maybe it's more easier to talk about. Maybe those are the things.
For sure. Maybe that's the nature of reality itself. Like, I think we talked about this before, but like, heavy lies the crown of truth, right? Heavy lies the crown of anything, right? If you want to be, you know, like the manager of a company, if you want to be like the director of a company, if you want to know the truth about reality, like all those things are very heavy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I guess like with Barbie, it's something you can take easily in, and there's a common enemy. Yeah, patriarchy, you know, down with that.
Yeah, which is much more understandable. Like, I think it's more understandable, more like easy to get, whatever. But it's like, I think Oppenheimer thing is like, it's war stuff. It's sadness. It's it's a downer, and it's a blemish on like American society, you know, because in America, they covet themselves as the highest, right? But this is kind of like they set this in motion, the nuclear disasters. You know, they were the ones who came up with the nuclear bomb, sure, which is what we're all kind of freaking out about, you know? And maybe that's also what it is too. It's like, you don't want to look at your scars. You know, you kind of want to look at, you want to distract yourself from the realities of life, essentially, you know? Not that Barbie is a distraction. It kind of is. It's like, it's a weird play. Like, I get it. You haven't seen it yet, but get what they're doing, but it's just like, it feels sort of like a distraction to me, you know? Now everybody's like, oh, I'm this kind of Barbie, I'm that kind of Barbie. Like, it's a big meme right now, whereas, you know, nobody's talking about the potentials of nuclear disaster. But I feel like there's like quite a lot of people watching Oppenheimer too. I mean, the theaters were full.
It's not like
No, for sure,
right?
but it's like it's not getting the play it is on social media.
I think it's just too much of a serious topic. I think that's why.
Right, yeah. And we all like the nature of life is extremely serious. Or not, you know.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, like,
life is
I
a
don't know if
comedy or
people.
tragedy.
Yeah, I think it's that. I think it's like, you're not getting any laughs in this movie. You're not.
No, you're not. No.
So
And all right, so like as a movie itself, let's get into that. I didn't really like it as a movie. Like somebody asked me, like, "Hey, should I watch Oppenheimer?" And I was like, "I don't know, I haven't seen it yet." Then I watched it. I was like, "It's probably not the movie for you." It's not that it's like a bad movie. It's just a lot, you know, like compared to his other movies. You know, Tenet. What was the other one? Batman.
Sure.
Inception.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like that. It was like usually in those movies he's trying to mind blow you, but with like something allegorical. This one he's mind blowing you with facts.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you better come into this like I want to learn something. You know?
I think that's why I liked it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, same. But I wouldn't say it was like a good movie. Like I wouldn't rewatch this over and over. It's not like Tenet, you know. I love that movie. I watch it so many times because like it's got the action,
Multiple
it's got
meanings. Yeah.
right, and like it's kind of mind bending. But this one was like, I'm just gonna show you the truth.
Yeah.
You know,
Because I don't think
it's like reading a book.
Yeah, so he hasn't done anything about like a biography of somebody. So it's like it's a very different type of movie. I think it's just like it's someone's life. You watch it once, it's like, okay, I got it. It's cool.
yeah, totally. Have you seen those memes yet of I guess it's because of what I've been clicking, but it's like manga, anime, live adaptation, and then it progressively gets worse. So I saw one.
Okay.
So I saw one about Einstein. It's like Einstein in the textbook, and it's a picture of Batman, and then Einstein in Oppenheimer, and it made him look so like not good. But it's true. Like we glorify this idea of Einstein, you know. But then when you see him as a human, I was like, oh, you are just a person. You weren't this like, you know what I mean? Like in my head, I'm like, oh, Einstein, you're gonna be serious all the time. You're gonna be like this like sage. You know, he does give off like sage vibes, but at the same time, it's like the humanity was there, and I did like that about Oppenheimer. Like he really portrayed the humanity. There was this one like meme thing going around, or like this highlight where the main actor was like, "Oh, the sex scenes were so integral to Oppenheimer," and I was kind of like, "Okay, are they really?" And then when you watch it, you're like, "Oh, okay, he didn't just put it in there for." Like the sake of having it.
Yeah.
You know, like the line, I've become death, destroyer of worlds. That came out during the scene. And also like you need to see his obsession and love for the girl so that when she died, it's like, okay, this makes sense why it's such a meaningful impact to him, you know. There's one thing that I did want to bring up as well before we get into the craziness, but when I watched the movie, I didn't read anything about the history of this. I know nothing about the atomic bomb. Made me want to read the book though. Like at the end, they like show the book. They suggested that the girl was assassinated, right? And then that I only saw through memes that in real life they put it as a suicide. But Christopher Nolan was suggesting that she got assassinated. Like you saw the gloves and like her being pushed in the water. So I was like, oh, she got killed by them.
So
you know what I'm saying?
So I think he was giving two perspectives because I had looked more into that. Because when I came out of the movie, I was like, some people didn't quickly see that, and then like other people saw that. Like I saw that, I was like, is that a hand? Wasn't I think maybe from it wasn't like,
but they suggested it like he was gonna.
Yeah. So they showed two both. What I mean is like showing that as if it was just a suicide, and then showing that other perspective, because both perspectives existed. Why? Because her brother was the one who was pushing that she was assassinated, right? And then also like
that's fascinating.
Yeah. So like I don't know if it's in the book. Maybe Oppenheimer thought that too, because he was using the specific word saying that not signed, like, or whatever she said, like she left a note but not signed. Yeah. But to use the word not signed is kind of implying like I don't know if it's her or You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
so they're
I
giving the official story is of course suicide, but like both stories are there in that's what they think. Yeah.
well, I think that Christopher Nolan is some sort of like conspiracy theory, not conspiracy theorist, but he isn't sticking to the official narrative necessarily.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things in that movie touched upon aliens, it touched upon government cover-ups, and it touched upon potential assassinations.
Mhm.
So the cover-up was the one with the girl. The assassination is when they said Kennedy, because you saw, like I was saying that to you, and you were like, oh, maybe they just wanted to highlight him or suggest the next movie that he might be making, which is pretty cool. Like if you watch Tenet and then they reference Oppenheimer in it,
Yeah.
and then he made Oppenheimer, and then like he referenced Kennedy in this one, so it's like, are you gonna make a Kennedy movie? Maybe that'd be really cool. But what I thought was interesting was you saw Robert Downey Jr.'s character, how he's very vindictive and he wanted to kill you, right? They showed how that one scene it stuck with him, and he wanted to bring Oppenheimer down just because of that, like, as he received. So when he asked like, what's the senator's name? And he's like, oh, it's a senator who wants to make a name for himself, Kennedy. But there's a lot of suggestion that the CIA killed Kennedy. Like the CIA and the mob worked together to kill Kennedy.
That's
Like, there's a lot of
that's
books out
outside of
there
the
on
movie though. Yeah, we're bringing that from the outside of the movie. Right.
No, it is outside the movie. But when he said it, I was like, oh, that's kind of weird that you highlighted that. I was like, why are you highlighting that? Because you could have just like not said it. You know,
Mhm.
we didn't need to know who the senator was that changed the votes. Remember, he's like, oh, who was the senator who like kind of swayed it? And he's like, oh, Kennedy. They're like, that's interesting. Are you, well, one, are you going to make another movie about like Kennedy's assassination? And two, are you suggesting that the military industrial complex is what killed Kennedy? Which is what a lot of people are suggesting too. You know, thoughts on that one?
I didn't feel like that in the movie. I just felt like they were introducing Kennedy as like this is him in the
It felt
start
so
of
like
his.
odd.
I didn't feel like
But
that.
it was so
Yeah.
odd. It was like, oh, why did you like it? It felt so like, why did you need to name that? You know, unless it was a setup for his next movie. Like we don't know where he's playing. Just like we didn't know him. Like why'd you bring up
Sure, but
Manhattan
I think
Project in Tenet,
right,
you know?
right. But I think like I think it's because we know Kennedy. That's the impact of it, and as well as he was in the vote who did decline him, right? So it's a
But I'm
big
sure there was other people as well.
no. That's what I'm saying. It was down to like 3. He said, like
But then why didn't you name the other 3?
because they don't. Where
You know what I'm saying?
no, I think they didn't name the other 3 is because we don't know who they are as a public.
Okay. So this is why I think Christopher Nolan's a genius. He's almost like if you know the connections, you'll know the connections. So you're like, oh, they didn't name the others because we wouldn't know who they are as a public,
Yeah.
right? So he named a lot of people in there that have a lot to do with aliens. So aside from Los Alamos,
Mhm.
right? Because we know that's where Bob Lazar came from. So when he made a thing, I was like, oh, that's interesting. But
Mhm.
do you know Fermi? Do you know Fermi?
I don't know. It seems familiar, but I'm not sure if I.
Right? Okay. So Fermi, they brought him up and like, oh, he's working on the Atom Project. So Fermi is the guy who created the Fermi paradox.
Mhm.
He said the universe is so big, there is 100% aliens. He just doesn't know where they are.
Right.
And that's what like it's called the Fermi paradox. So when he brought these people up, I'm like, why'd you need to name them? But then when he named it, I was like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. You know, like it brought me down a different rabbit hole.
Right.
So I think I feel like he's just dropping all these little nuggets in this movie that if you want to start tethering things together. Remember like the last podcast, I hadn't watched Oppenheimer and you're like, oh, Los Alamos. And I was like, oh my God, mind blown. Like that's where the aliens are,
Right.
you know? So it's almost like, are you doing this a part of the movie? You know what I mean? Like he couldn't mind blow us in a direct way. So he mind blew you with facts. So he's like, if you want to go down these rabbit holes, I'm just going to give you all these names.
Yeah.
And then you could do the digging yourself, you know? Because there's a lot of questionable things from the government going on, which is what I came away from the movie with. It's like, I'm more skeptical of the government now Why? Because they didn't need to drop those bombs. They did it anyways. The guy was like, "Oh, I don't want to do Kyoto because I vacation there." I'm like, "Okay, so you have a personal thing. So this is how the government works?" And the whole thing was about a conspiracy to make Oppenheimer look bad. That's the point of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought it was about the atomic bomb, right? And remember, like we came over, like, "Oh, I thought it was going to end with the explosion," but it kept going because, like, I think the real power of this movie is to show people that there's something going on behind the scenes that we don't know of.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
That's my theory.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And especially like with the whole UFO hearing, during the hearing, he talked about how like money is hidden. This is not a part of Oppenheimer. Like if you watch the Senate hearing, like not what was it, Congressman hearing?
Yeah, it's for congressmen. It's a hearing on talking to other congressmen persons on the panel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you watch that whole thing, he's really outing money in that, like how money is hidden. But that's like kind of what Oppenheimer did too. It's like, look at the nefariousness of the government. Like it made you question, did she get killed? Like I thought she was killed, but then it's like, oh no, the official story she's not. And you're like, oh, but why'd you present it like that then?
Mm-hmm.
You know. And then the other thing, this is the mind blow. So I was saying this to you after the movie, but after the hearing, during the hearing of the UFO thing, the main person brought up like, I don't want to call them aliens because like it's not human because they might not be from space. They could be from a different dimension. And then the congressman's like, well, what are you talking about, different dimension? He's like, well, there's a lot of theories with quantum physics. And I was like, sure, I don't really know what you're talking about. But the freaking movie opened, Oppenheimer, with him discovering quantum physics. Oh, no. Einstein discovered it. He refined it. So refining quantum physics. And you're like, bro, what did you do at Los Alamos?
Mm-hmm.
Was it just the atom bomb, or did you make a connection with alien beings or like different quantum?
Sure, I mean, yeah,
beings?
it's been there since then, right? Since World War II, Los Alamos has been there. So,
and you're like, what? And remember, and then that one scientist was like, I wanna quit. And then he's like, no, I'll let you work on whatever you want to work on. We can meet every week for 1 week. So what did you work on? Was your project like Project Contact Aliens? we don't know, right? Like, and then why did they use Los Alamos? I mean, it makes sense. You could use Los Alamos because it's protected from like bombs, you know, like they tested the nuclear bomb there. So we know that if we bring an alien spacecraft there, it'll be protected, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Or was that like the grounds for contacting other beings from different dimensions?
Yeah, I don't know. Mm-hmm.
Like what's going on?
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of the movie. The movie just made me go like, wait a minute. Like what else is going on here? You know? What do you think? Like what was your like revelation takeaways?
It's just interesting how many people are involved in it, like involved in the whole science aspect of it, and like the connections. Because I remember, like the Bohr guy, the Austrian guy, whatever, like the one that he went to see in the beginning of the movie. He went to see his lecture. He's in our science books. Bohr's,
really?
Bohr's principle, yeah.
Oh,
that's who he is.
See, there you go.
So it's like all these connections. Yeah,
I didn't even know. Like what? Bohr.
So like it's interesting to see like these are the scientists that we have in our textbooks, or at least when we were in school. So it's like it's interesting to see like who's all connected in it to make this atom bomb.
See, this is the thing too. It's like you have to like read into history. Because if you read into history, you'll see how it's all connected. Like we kind of wake up in this reality now. Like as a baby, you know, you get born into life and you're like, what's going on with the world? And then nobody really knows. But then if you yourself read into history, you're like, oh, that became because of this became because of that became because of this. You know, like it's all logical. Like people ask like, why are we here? It's like, read history. You'll figure out exactly why we got here.
Right.
You know? Or how we got here. Yeah, because that's crazy. You know, the juggernauts who just seem like regular characters in the movie. You're like, oh no, these are like big, impactful people that change the course of how we live our lives.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think about the main question of the movie about self destruction? I was thinking about this one a lot. So you remember how he was like they show like the Einstein Oppenheimer meeting, and then he's like the big fear is that the calculation is that if we run this, it could keep blowing up the atmosphere, and then we just destroy the world. And then at the end of the movie, he's like, I feel like we did it. We are like the catalyst for destruction of the world.
Sure.
Like, what did you feel about that one?
Well, that was the fear, right? I mean, now not everybody, but like the few countries that have it, they have nuclear weapons. But it has been never used since the dropping on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. After that, it's never been used. Has it been?
Right.
So we still have wars, but it's been we're not like destroying things that level.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll put a pin in we'll put a pin in that the weapons thing because that's interesting too. But the fact that he thought that it would destroy the world, he's like, I think we set in motion that we're going to destroy the world. I was like, technically, it's how far you want to draw the line because industrial revolution could technically also be
sure
because without the industrial revolution, you wouldn't have you know what I mean. So it's like him putting that weight on himself. I was like, it depends on how far back you want to draw the line. Like you feel like it's an important moment, but like without oil, you wouldn't even have this opportunity. Without cities, you wouldn't have this opportunity. Without the railroad, you wouldn't have. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I found that like, no, we could destroy ourselves. Like, it's not because of you, bro. Like you could take that weight off your shoulders. You know. But going back to the weapons, this was a secret weapons building event. Right?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, nuclear bombs. I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's stuff going on right now that will like cast a wide shadow on the nuclear bomb. You know what I mean? Like the people making bombs or like weapons right now, like, oh, that's cute. You think a nuclear bomb is like the real problem? No, this is the real problem. You know what I'm saying? Like we place a lot of emphasis on nuclear bombs. But there's got to be weapons out there that we don't even know about that are way more powerful than a nuclear bomb. It's been like 100 years or whatever.
So years, like yeah, like I don't know about after that, but they did test the hydrogen bomb, the one that the guy wanted to do. So that is the biggest bomb, but it's never been used.
Oh, it is
outside of being tested. Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So like, don't even worry about nuclear bombs, bro. H bombs, where it's at.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? Like, we're afraid of something that we saw, but we should really be afraid of things that we can't see because nobody saw the nuclear bomb coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I guess it was. I guess they had to use it to show it. I guess. You know what I mean? It's like probably unbelievable.
Was wild because it's like,
and it's not like they
imagine if they hadn't shown it. Yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah, it's like, and it's not like they just dropped it on one city. They had to do it. And it's 2 cities, and it was like a few days apart.
Yeah, it's like, and what is your country's reaction to that? You don't think the rest of the world is like scrambling now to figure out a weapon worse than this?
Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? So, I think that's
wait. Remember? Yeah.
No, like that's why the nuclear arms race was that, right? They were looking at Russia would be the next country to get it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like Russia, they're developing, like they were developing on par with the Americans
at the time. Yeah,
and the Americans said that. So like when they're talking about the Cold War that came after, you know, what else were they developing? You really think like every year we have a new iPhone? You really think it stopped with a nuclear bomb? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's progress.
Sure.
You gotta make, like, you're like, well, what if they bring out this bomb? Well, what if they bring out this bomb? You know what I mean? You're always like trying to level up the game. And I think whatever weapon comes about from this is going to be way worse than a nuclear bomb. like whatever's being developed right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Like we
We've
can only imagine.
We can only talk about what we know, right? But yeah, of course, they're working on a lot of things.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like even like I remember like drone strikes, right? That just leaves like a big bomb too. But they were I forgot who they killed. There were some terrorists that they had killed, but it was very precise bomb where it only went
hyper precision.
Yeah, and it only went to that person and only killed him.
Yeah.
Versus,
so like what else are we doing right now? You know what I mean? Like, bro, oh, you're afraid of a nuclear bomb? No. Like there's got to be worse stuff out there. You know what'd be even worse than a nuclear bomb? If you really want to cripple a country, create the world's biggest EMP. Just shoot it over the city.
I'm sure they got
Don't even need to kill anybody. But you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, okay, the devastation and destruction of the explosion might be really bad, but if you like, okay, the devastation and destruction of a nuclear bomb is localized to that vicinity.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you might take out a city. Maybe you might take out 10 cities. Okay, totally fine. But if you shoot EMP, if people don't know what an EMP is, it like shuts off all electrical devices. If you shoot an EMP at the mainframe of where like the internet is or where our databases are, game over. You lost all your data.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you going to do?
Yep.
That's even worse because then you have a domino effect. You know, like let's say they shoot out, I don't know, wherever the servers are for the internet. You shut down the world's internet, except for your own, game over. Where's the communication?
Yeah.
You shoot out the satellites. You're like, what are we doing? You know, that's way worse because then you're not only affecting a city, you're affecting the entire country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's wild, man.
Yeah.
And we think it stopped with the nuclear bomb. We're like, oh, nukes are so. I'm like, no, there's 100% worse stuff out there.
Yeah, I'm sure they do,
like
but but officially, this is what we're at right now.
yeah, totally. I wanted to bring up as well how Japan post World War II. So they, like, my cousin brought this up, and I was like, oh, this is really fascinating. You never think about it though, but when they stopped like building weapons and becoming an army, they focused on technology, you know, and the development of their technology is something that we're all obsessed with. And like I think, dude, we might have talked about this post podcast. That's why I'm bringing it up now. But you brought up like Toyota and like car manufacturing, and it's like, why do we need to rule you through arms when we could rule you through economics? If you need to buy all of our stuff, that's what COVID showed. Remember, like that was the big problem with COVID. Our logistical supply chain broke down because we were buying everything from China.
Yeah,
we like everything's manufactured overseas, and they would come here. And then a lot of people realized, like, oh, we can't get stuff fast enough because we need to rely on them. But COVID shut down logistically, so they're trying to look internally how to develop things. It's like Asia really won the war, you know, because we really rely on them. You like, you know, even though on the front of it you see America's dominance because they got like the army everywhere, but if you pull out your T-shirt and it says "Made in China," you're like, who really won?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like because we're such a global society now, and we think in terms of black and white, that you're not really seeing the true layers of what's going on here. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's worried about war, and it's like that's not really the thing to worry about. It's economic dominance, like dependence. Because like, why do I need to kill you if you need me? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, think about it. We can't even grow anything in the West. Like, we can grow things, but how many things? We import a lot of our fruits.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just tripping me out. Anything else about the movie you want to bring up?
Well, it's just a side fact, but it was the first movie I think he's done since, like, not with Warner Brothers.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think
That's probably why it sucked.
he left it because I think it was in the COVID time when they were like, "Oh, all movies are gonna come to like HBO Max or something, like the digital thing."
Oh wow.
And he didn't like that idea.
Oh, interesting. So he left
Yeah,
in order
yeah.
to.
So they're trying to get him back though, but
Oh, really? Okay. Dang. All right. That's intense.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw the SAG strike. Now people are talking about the strikes are weird, man, because so obviously there's the Screen Actors Guild strike right now, and I saw that they're gonna open negotiations this Friday or something like that. But one that's happening right now, and I didn't even think about it until like it just like I needed to go there. Metro's on strike. Not like if people don't know what Metro
Oh,
is.
you talk the
listen to
grocery
you.
store. Yeah.
Grocery store. Yeah. And I go for my morning walk with Athena. I was like, oh, maybe I'll buy some coffee. So I walked over and there was all these people outside like strike. And I was like, what are you guys doing?
Mhm.
So I tried to go through the door and the security guard's like, no. And I was like, what? And then they're like, oh, we're on strike. I was like, oh, bro, I didn't even hear about this, you know? And then I was like, okay, it'll resolve itself within 2 days. I go back, it's been like a week.
Mhm.
And I'm like, why are you guys still on strike? But it's like wages and stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
But that's gotta be hurting Metro as a whole. You know, because what are we
That's the point of the strike. Yeah. Yeah.
No, for sure. But it's like you look at the Screen Actors Guild, you look at the Metro strike,
Sure.
and you're like, that's how you rule people. Money.
Mhm.
We like the Metro's not gonna kill you. You know, the Screen Actors Guild is not gonna kill you, but you can hurt them with money.
Yep.
So that's the real war
Mhm.
going on. Yeah. You remember Jack Ryan?
Yeah.
So the movie Jack Ryan, he brought that up too. It's like Russia was going to take over, but they were going to take over with economics, and his like job was to, as a finance person, stop this economic espionage from
Mhm.
happening. Yeah, it's just so funny because like when you think about Oppenheimer, it's so final and black and white, explosion, bomb, you know.
Yeah.
But it's really way deeper than that. How did that make you feel about like how do you feel about the government stuff? Did it make you question that at all, the movie?
Question like
Or were you
what?
not thinking about it?
No, what do you mean by
Like-
question? Question the
Like-
secrecy of like what they work on and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Or even the compartmentalization. Remember that was a big thing.
Mhm.
They're like, oh, we got to keep compartmentalize, and that's what Bob Lazar was saying. He's like, I only worked on a piece of the craft, and then everyone else is working on other
Yeah,
things.
I think that was the lesson in the movie too, because it was when they first built it, right? It's like how do you keep the secrecy? And there was a lot of leaks happening, I guess. So of course you're going to get better and better at secrecy as you figure out where the issues are, where the leaks were happening from.
Yeah.
So yeah, and like security clearance is a very important thing. You can't.
Right? Yeah, totally. But then if you're looking at that level, you're like, what are you guys hiding? Like, what is this thing?
Is it necessarily hiding? But it's like you don't want the leaks to go out to other countries.
For our own good.
Yeah. There's all that too, right? So, it was. I think it just tells you like what like the government level of like what they're working on, how they keep the secrets, right? So it's like I think it's just an interesting aspect. Of course, that's is what's going on, right? So we don't know what are the other things that they're working on because a lot of things do come from our like technology growth. Also, had come from the military industrial complex, right? So what like the GPS stuff was from them before.
The internet was from them too.
Yeah, so it's like
it was made in World War II, I think.
Right,
Yeah.
and I mean these are things that help the economy, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, for sure. It's just it makes you feel, well, at least it makes me feel that like we're really at different levels in this video game, and we're all just like playing. Like we really don't have power, you know?
Yeah, okay.
And I feel like COVID was, to me, COVID was a great example of your lack of power. Because remember in the beginning, I was like, there's no way I'm going to get the shot. I don't need to get the shot. They won't force me to get the shot. It's like, oh, you're going to get the shot. It's like, damn, not going to get the shot. But it's like, we won't tell you that, like, we won't hold you down and inject you. But we're going to make your life so difficult that you're going to just need to get the shot.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, what are these invisible forces at play that are just ruling our lives? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Gas prices. Gas prices affect
all sorts of things. Everything, like, actually.
Yeah, right. All right. So I'm like kind of obsessed with gas prices right now. And then Tara's like, what? You're going to fill up gas anyways. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not the gas that I'm worried about. I'm worried about the ramifications. We're at $1.70 right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it went to like, it was like 120, right? And it's like, that's going to affect the price things I buy at the grocery store.
Yeah,
that's what's freaking me out.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at it like on its surface level, it's like, oh, you got to pay more for gas. You're like, okay, I pay more for gas. But really, it's like, no, this is going to affect the way we live our lives on like a mass scale. Because like gas is like the blood of the world.
Yeah.
Like right? Like you literally, you need it to live.
Mm-hmm.
Not us literally, but like for society to live.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's the blood of the society,
mm-hmm.
you know? And we're watching these prices rise. It's like, to liken it to like health, it's almost like if you have high cholesterol, you know, you're like, oh, that's probably going to affect your heart, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, oh, it's just a number of like, whatever, it's just cholesterol, you know? But you're like, no, like the ramifications of this are very widespread. And that's something we can't even affect. Like, I can't do anything about gas prices. And that's more of like the helpless feeling. You're like, oh, we really are not in control. This is totally dictated on whatever backroom deals you guys are having.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Right? Like we are not pawns in a game because we're not being used necessarily, but it's almost like we're bystanders in the game.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Like you ever play Roller Coaster Tycoon or like SimCity?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You pushing all the buttons in those, like, have you played Roller Coaster Tycoon?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go with that one because I like that one better. You're going to create all these businesses. You're going to create all these roller coasters. You're going to, create all these food stands. And then the park people are going to go there, and then they're just going to spend their money, entertain themselves.
Sure.
But you could set the prices for those things.
Yes.
In Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The park people have no say in that. They don't see you setting the price. They're just NPCs, right? Non-playable characters.
Yeah.
So I feel like we are the non-playable characters in the business people's game. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Like, we are our own playable characters, but like, just like us to them, they are NPCs. We are NPCs to them. We're just moved around. We're just like,
mm-hmm. Yeah, I get. I do get.
Right.
You
know what I'm saying?
No, I get what you're saying, but it's. Don't
say voting. You're gonna say voting.
No. Yeah, that's sure, but like I'm saying, like you vote with your money because even in that game, it's like how do you keep the people happy? If they're not happy, they're not gonna stop.
That's
coming.
true. You're right, and they're gonna stop coming to your theme park. That's true, and that's what you have revolts, and that's when people get angry. So the real game is how do you make them spend their money
without making them exactly. Yeah. So that means that everybody wins in the end for that kind of scenario.
No. They think they're winning. You just hire a really good marketer to set the narrative.
Sure.
You know,
but then
like why does this?
But then no. Even if you do that, doesn't matter. Right? They're happy at the end, right? So everyone's winning. You feel good spending your money.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's true. But who's the people in charge? Who's the one who like set that thing up? The marketer, bro.
Yeah, but if
the genjutsu.
I get that, yeah, but if they don't know that, right? If they're happy
No,
at
no,
the end of it, right?
that's what I mean. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And like that's why people are like, why do you like Madara so much? Why do you like the Uchiha clan with their Sharingans? I'm like, no, what they're doing is what we're doing in reality. Like the Uchiha clan are marketers. They're just like putting people in a genjutsu, making you believe that this is what you want,
right?
And you feel happy about it. But it's like, but we're like sucking your resources out. Like the people at the top are sucking. But the funny part is like those people at the top are just humans as well. You know, they just are born into a different ladder in the video game that we are not privy to. And like, that's like, I feel like that's something you just have to be born into. You know, when people are like, oh, I just want to overthrow the government. It's like, do you really want to know what happens in that? Like, I don't.
Yeah.
You know, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just want to be in your little piece of the garden at peace. You know, it's like, I just live over here, just do my thing. Or no, like, I don't know. What do you think?
No, I think that's the level of freedoms that we would, right? If there's too much, because we already felt what freedom is kind of like, right? I think it's like if you,
Wait, what do you mean freedom?
I'm talking about like the freedoms from the government, like what kind of things you can do, can't do.
What? Like laws?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Break that down. I'm a little confused. Like,
No, like to keeping people happy, right? I think that there will be a revolt if they've already felt the freedom, and then you're starting to take away. Those people still exist, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Versus in other
like
versus societies where you're born into already a certain set of rules.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. It's sort of like the elephant who was chained since he was a baby, and then he doesn't revolt because he believes that the chain's still there.
Yeah.
But if the elephant realized, wait, there's no chain here, then he would have the power to revolt. But because we haven't given
or had a life before without a chain, or had a life before without a chain.
Yeah, okay. So I feel like that's where we are now. Not society, but like the 90s kids. Like the kids who played outside, the kids who like...
We had that both experience. We were the basically end game of that part, right? Where we could play outside. Yeah. But we also had video games and things as well. But it was a mix. And now...
No, right.
It's
but not even that, but like ideologically. Like I can't even make a joke. I can't even...
No, yeah.
Say anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And if you're
like, we can't even laugh at it. Like,
true, really? Yeah. And then like if you're in today's time, it's all you're seeing is bad stuff on social media. That's the world, but it's not the world.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we are 100% a new age. I've like fully conceded to that now that I guess like our parents are probably thinking the exact same thing, and I think their parents also thought the exact same thing. But I think we're actually at the point now where we're seeing a whole new generation of individuals being brought up, and you're like, oh, we're not the same. We are actually not the same. You know what I mean? Like ideologically, like the way we view the world is totally not the same. Like, I don't know. The one for me is like, we can't even make a joke. We can't even make a joke about it without you getting upset at me. Or like, it's okay. I'm gonna give you this story. I'm gonna mask the story. So like, okay, I don't even know how I'm gonna mask this. If you have listened to, if you were in this event, you'll get it right away. But I'm gonna try my best to make it not obvious. So, because I know some people who listen to this podcast, and I'm like, oh, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. So, I was at this. It's not a work-related story. I was at this like event or like this gathering, and this one individual was like, "Oh, look how crazy this person is! Like, they actually forced me to break apart my source of leisure I'm really trying to say this as like ambiguous as possible. My source of leisure, because they were mad at me. And I was like, oh, why are they mad at you? Oh, because I wasn't going to work. And I was like, oh, maybe you should be going to work instead of spending your time on the leisure device. Like, no, why would he just like dismantle my leisure device? And I was like, wait, do you understand that takes precedence over the games, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they couldn't see it. And I was the weirdo. And I was like, no, in life, you kind of have to take care of the thing that you need to take care of.
Yeah.
But and that's when I was like, oh, we're in a different world. Like, you guys can't see that it's important to show up to your job.
I wonder if it's the new,
you know what I'm saying?
It's a selfish world.
But it's like, no, but I want to stay up all night leisuring myself.
Yeah, which is a selfishness.
And I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, I can't believe he did that. And they're all getting, oh no. Hold on. I gotta check the time. Oh no, we're good. Sorry guys, if you're listening. I thought Tara was messaging me, she'd come back. So no, it wasn't. I mean, yes, sorry to get back to it. Selfish world. And it's like, it was weird because I was really the only one advocating for the person dismantling the device.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what else are you gonna do, bro? Like, this addiction is ruining your life, but we all want to support our bad behavior now. But that goes towards everything, like people who identify as other animals. Did you see that thing where that guy turned himself into a dog?
Oh yeah.
And I was like, bro, we're going too far. That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he spent $10,000 or something to like augment himself into a dog. Nobody's gonna say anything. It's like being the parent dismantling the device and being like, no, you gotta go to work, bro. I'm the weirdo because I'm like, yeah, you gotta go to work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's when I was like, oh, we're in a new world. It's cool to be a dog. All right. It's cool to not go to work. All right. Like, what? How are you going to build any resilience? You know what's crazy? All right. So everyone, all right, sorry, I'm going off because I'm like, I'm in this new world and I'm like, but it's funny because I work in that world too. So it's like, I advocate, like, I see the benefits. That's the problem. I see the good points, but I'm like, hey guys, let's not go too far. Like, I get equality, diversity, equity, everything. I get it. You do you, bro. But we can't go too far with this.
Yeah,
like,
there's a level of just discipline that needs to be held, I guess.
Right. So everyone is like, oh, I want to be a resilient person. Oh, I want to, grow discipline. Okay, you have to do hard things. Oh, but I want to do it without doing hard things.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible. You need the hard thing in order to grow the good thing. But they don't see that. They want to get rid of the bad thing in place of the good thing. I'm like, that's not how it works. That's literally Taoism. You need both ends.
Sure. Yeah.
How am I going to be a resilient person?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm a really resilient, dedicated, disciplined person who doesn't wake up and go to work. Like, what? You know what I mean? And that's the world we live in now. But actually, that is really the world we live in.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, one more. Okay, so I hate doing presentations. I hate it. Especially, no. I'm good at doing meetings. If I'm like, we're here for a purpose. I'm very good at corralling and like, let's just get this done. We have to, organize, whatever. But if you're telling me to like, share your findings with the rest of the class, and you're like, my head's going, they don't know what this is. They don't care about this. I'm wasting everyone's time. You know what I mean? And then I start getting nervous and I'm like battling, like, no, okay, just do your job. Right? So I, despite my nerves, push past that.
Mm-hmm.
That's discipline. That's resilience,
Yeah.
And then I try and figure out tools in order to not have that happen again. Like, if I get nervous, I'm like, okay, what are some tools I can use to make myself not nervous? How are you going to build that if you're like, I'm sorry, I identify as somebody who does not like to do presentations? How are you going to build the skill?
Yeah.
You can't build the skill without the hardship. So even though it sucks, I hate doing it. It's like, okay, this is part of my job. you learn how to get better at it. And then like 2 years down the line, like, oh my God, you're such a great presenter. It's like, yeah, bro, I had to stick with the suck. It sucked, but I got better at it.
Right. True.
How are you going to build it? Right? You know what I'm saying? But we're giving too many freebies to people now. And I don't like it. Because, like, we're not the same. Like, you can't be resilient without hardship.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough of a rant. Go ahead.
I think because we're
frustrated about that.
Yeah, I think we're in a selfish world. That's why. And there's got to be a breaking point to that. That's not going to work out in the long run, right? So.
Yeah. Like, you know what it is too? It's not just selfishness. It's blind hypocrisy.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna give you a story. I'm like, is that too specific? Okay, well, I'll give you the story. I might have told it before, but I don't like saying my pronouns. For me, it's weird. You don't need to know that.
Yeah.
We're just doing a job. I get it. To make the people who want to do that, like, if it means so much to you, I'll do it. I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way to just start a conversation with that. It's kind of weird. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Just me. Private person. But then the person telling me to do it, not specifically the person, but like giving like a whole presentation about it, was like, they were being asked some questions. Like, oh, these are the importance of, why you should state it, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, I'll take any questions. And I was just like, all right, whatever, we're just going to do it because that's what we got to do. And then somebody asked, like, well, what if they mess up on your pronouns? And they're like, yeah, I know, it becomes really awkward because then if I actually identify as, like, a she, but then they say he, then it gets awkward. So I actually really don't like saying it anyways. And I was like, wait a minute. Did you just hear yourself say, like, the presenter telling us why we need to do this said, I don't like doing it anyways. So why are you doing it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Did you not hear the hypocrisy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wild. But it's like, no, that's the new world we live in. It's like, we just ignore the hypocrisy. You don't even like doing it, so why are you telling me to do it?
Mm-hmm.
And this is for you, bro. You put this on for me to, like, do it. And I'm like, all right, fine, do it because that's what we're doing. And you open with, no, you don't open with, you like admit that you don't like really, doing it.
Yeah.
So why are you doing it? Why are you advocating so hard? Like, really think about that. Like, I don't know. Do you have an answer for that? Like, it's like, it's like ideological ignorance or something like that. I don't know.
I think it seems like an ignorance level where you want a certain way, but you're not really. I don't know. It's like you're mixed bag.
Like, do you believe the things that are coming out of your mouth?
Yeah.
That's really what I'm asking. I'm just like if I tell you that this will work because of this, I most likely have researched it. I've put together a plan. I'm like, this is why it's going to work financially, marketing wise. Like, it's just, well thought out.
I think that's what it is. I think it's not. People are not really thinking about it, like, clearly or fully, right? I think that's the idea of these armchair experts kind of thing. You don't know the whole story, and you're just
for sure. You're just saying it,
yeah,
because that's what we gotta do, and that is why Barbie is making more money than Oppenheimer. Because it's like, well, let's just get behind a point. But I watched it, I was like, I agree with your points. I totally see where you're coming from. But, like, have we thought about every aspect of this? Is it really just dedicated to your points alone, or are there other aspects of this coming into play? Shut up and get behind it. Okay. Like, and then, like, 2 years down the line, they're like, oh, we made an error because we didn't really think about it. It's like, yeah, bro, maybe think before you do something.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's what it is. It's like the speed of information and the access to information is so heavy now that it's like we don't need to think before we do anything because we're just moving too quickly.
We're just reacting.
Yeah.
Just thinking.
Like a very common line and my dad's using it on me because he's a very good handyman and I mess up a lot. He's like, measure twice, cut once, you know? But we don't do that anymore. We just like, we're cut. Oops, cut. We'll just buy another one. Don't worry. Cut.
Right.
It's like, it's a great analogy for society. And I feel like if you're the person that's like, hey, maybe we should measure twice, guys. Did you just call me a guy? No, I'm just kidding. You know what I mean? Like if you're the bearer of bad news, being like, maybe we need to calculate this twice, you become like the pariah. Everyone kicks you out.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, you're a weird guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's the world we're in.
But that's what I mean. That's why I was like, oh, we're in a different world. I've conceded. Like, I'm old now. I accept that. Like, not with this new generation. I mean, that sounds bad. That sounds bad. Because like I have a bunch of family members that are like in that generation, but it's like, it's true though. You can't. No, you know what it is. You know what it is. Prove me wrong. Just prove me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me why I'm wrong. That's it. No, not an emotional response.
Yeah.
Not like I'm angry and that's why you're wrong. Like no, like logically tell me why I'm wrong. And if I am wrong, I'll have the resilience to listen and then try and course correct.
Sure. Yeah.
But if we're just angry, you know what it is? Maybe that's what it is. We're running our world off of too much emotion and no objectivity.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is why anime is so good. But for real though, like my cousin said this to me, and actually it's like a weird time. Probably because I just started getting really into anime again, and like I was like, oh, it's weird. You both asked me the same question at the same time, or like you both brought up salient points. So one of my cousins in the Philippines, Jono, so he was like, oh, I like anime. No. I was like, hey man, did you finish Naruto? And he's like, no, not yet. I was like, when you finish it, let me know which person you agree with, because I agree with the bad guy, Madara. And he's like, oh, well, that's the point of anime anyways, right? Like to show you both perspectives and to understand that both perspectives are right. They're just coming at it from different approaches. And I was like, damn, that is what it's about. That's why anime is so good. Because you're using objectivity. You're seeing like, oh, he's right.
Yeah.
Who's the right one, Whereas like, it's not clear cut. Whereas now it's like clear cut. Just listen and do as I say. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like even Tara asked me, she's like, what is anime? And I was like, oh, Japanese cartoons. And she's like, no, like really, like why are you so into this? I'm like, oh, it's just parables. It's literally just stories of lessons.
Yeah.
Like life lessons. I like the Kenshin one that I just finished. He was the ultimate manslayer. He killed everyone. And then he realized, oh, killing's wrong. And then Tara was like, yeah, obviously. And I'm like, yeah, but we needed to see that as a kid. You know what I mean? Like, or like rewatch it, understand the lessons. And then like even Kenshin was saying in it how like I love this line. The little boy was like, oh, we won, we killed the guy, so we were right? And Kenshin's like, if you think that, then you're just as bad as the evil person. Because he was fighting from a point of view that he believes he was right. Today we just won the battle.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, we're both right. I was like, damn. Like,
yeah,
you don't hear that, you
Yeah.
know? Far left, far right. You guys can't agree on a couple of
True. Yeah.
things. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know, thoughts, perspectives. You.
Yeah, I think that the way that they do anime is very like it's they talk about themes. It's not like North American cartoons where it's just too kiddish, right?
Yeah.
I think that's why the topics that they bring up are very like adult oriented. Like there is a lot of lessons in there that I think that's why there's an attraction for Japanese anime.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of lessons, actually, no, this is a good point. Because we both saw it, Death Note.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and you were like, "Oh, did you finish Death Note?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just finished it." But that anime was super insightful.
Yeah.
Because so basically,
well, it's been a long time since I watched it, so you have to remind me. But
yeah, I'll do a quick breakdown. So, it's funny because it was even like I was explaining to Tara and like, the. All right, I'll just explain it, and then like,
Sure.
the quandary, the philosophical quandary, is very interesting. So, a demon is bored in his world, so he drops a death note into the human world for entertainment. So this boy in high school finds it, and it says like has these rules about the death note. If you write someone's name within 40 seconds, they'll die of a heart attack unless specified otherwise, right? So he tests it out, and he realizes like, oh, this actually works. So he starts killing only bad people. The reason why is he wants to build a world where the entire world is just filled with good people. No more rapists, no more murderers. Because like I was explaining this to Taryn, she's like, "Oh, who's he killing?" I'm like, "Oh, rapists, murderers, like serial killers, stuff like that." And she's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I get it. Like good, like obvious good versus evil, right?" That's how it starts out. And then the cops are like, "Who is this vigilante killing people?" So the whole thing is how do they catch the person who's killing all these people?
Yeah.
And it's just a chase between the two, And it brings up like the death penalty. Is the death penalty right or wrong? Right? Like that's and the people in the anime were agreeing with him because they're like, oh, he's killing all the bad people. So you have and he was saying that too. He's like, if we don't give a school textbook answer, like if you ask a little kid in school, like, is killing wrong? Killing's not wrong. Killing's wrong because you shouldn't kill people. Blah blah blah. Right? But he's like, if people were really honest, they'd be like, yeah, I would kill that person. So I'm just doing the work of the people that can't do it. Right? And hold on, sorry. Okay. Oh, cool. Oh, 15 minutes. All right. We gotta wrap this bad boy up. We'll finish with Death Note. So he's killing these people, and then the police are like, we need to figure out this vigilante. So it's like, who's right?
Right.
Should you kill the bad people? But then you see a little bit of this thing happen, which is another philosophical thing, which is like great power, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Because he starts like, after he kills all the bad people, he starts like, well, now I'm gonna potentially kill lazy people. And I was like, all right, where you draw the line, bro?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What is bad for society? Like you're judging.
Yeah, and that's what
yeah.
Yeah. And then the police like just trying to uphold the law. But it's like then the question becomes, are laws good? Because if the entire society's backing I think he called himself Kiba or Kira. Like that's his like Death Note name.
Oh yeah.
So they're like, right, so they're like, I'm a Kira fan. And you're like, okay, so what are laws then? Are they really just made up of the majority of people? Because everyone's agreeing with him. So shouldn't it be legal for him shouldn't you stop chasing him? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like all these big questions start coming out. And that's the beauty of anime. Whereas, like you're right, Western cartoons are just like so there's no lesson. It's just like let's entertain ourselves.
And it's probably
like
very far.
Very
far and few between. But like only Avatar is the only one that I can remember that had something in it.
Right. So that's why when people are like, "Oh, what's anime?" and they're like, "Oh, it's cartoons," and people get so insulted about it being cartoons, it's like, no, it's like it's more than just cartoons because it's like it's a parable.
Yeah, there's life lessons in
I like.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you think about a cartoon, a traditional Western cartoon, you're looking at Looney Tunes, Flintstones, Bugs Bunny.
Yep.
It's like, what were the lessons there? Like Pepe Le Pew was basically a rapist. Like you remember Pepe Le Pew?
No, who's
he was just always trying. So he's like a skunk.
Oh yeah. Okay.
He's always chasing. Right? He's like trying to make her fall in love with him, and like,
true.
That's kind of weird. Really, you want to put those life lessons into a little kid? Whereas, like, then you go to anime, and it's like, no, be a righteous person, be a valorous person, be a pride. Well, pride's not a good one, but they say like keep your pride and like live in harmony with nature. Like these are the lessons that they're giving out. Like I wouldn't say cartoons are parables, like Western cartoons.
Right. I just think like it depends on what age you're watching them at. So to really understand
No, but
the anime.
no, for sure. But that's why I'm going back now as an adult and being
Yes.
like, what holds the test of time?
Sure.
And then realizing all the stuff I watched was like quality.
Mhm.
They were giving some wild lessons in them, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of stuff, like I can't really think of a Power Rangers maybe.
But that wasn't
was
cartoon
like
though.
I know, I'm just trying to think of like Western childhood stuff, like X-Men, maybe Spider-Man.
Sure. Yeah.
Like maybe.
But those they
But,
had
like,
but like all like the comic book stuff. They had like 100 years of like time to build, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what the early ones were like.
Of comic books?
Yeah.
I think they were created. I remember like Superman was created during like wartime. But they had to create these figures to like make themselves feel good about like what was going on.
No. I know. What I mean is like when we were watching X-Men in the 90s and stuff, like there already been generations of X-Men stories to
I see what you're
use
saying.
and
Yeah.
build. Like I think the anime stuff or the manga is kind of relatively new, right? Yeah.
Or maybe they just knew, like the Japanese knew, like let's indoctrinate people young with good, valorous qualities. It's the Bushido, like the way of the warrior. That's what all anime comes down to. It's just giving you different tenets of. It's like if I could distill it into the main philosophy, it's Bushido, which is valor, like way of the warrior, and Taoism, like how to live harmoniously with nature.
Mm-hmm.
Like I watched Princess Mononoke. Sorry, I really gotta bounce.
Yeah.
But last thing, I watched Princess Mononoke last night because like it kept coming up. Like I saw it as a kid, but I don't remember what it was about. And then people like keep getting tattoos of it and like drawings of it. I was like, oh, what is this about? It's basically Pocahontas. It's like Japanese Pocahontas.
Mm-hmm.
Like the wolf girl, she lives with nature because like she's a human living with animals because like she wants to be in touch with nature and stuff. But the whole movie is about like industrial revolution and how that's not good for nature. Because the demons that keep being built out were like it's like the spirit of the forest was being overtaken by industrialization. Like they kept like killing animals, like harvesting ore, stuff like that. And it was just hurting nature.
It's interesting too. You have to look at the context of when these were made too, because it's like
I know,
Japanese.
Because during that time it was like
the Japanese industrial complex. Like these are like older movies too, right? So like, what was the context of the time? Like the growth level that Japan was going through when those movies came out.
Fair.
That's like very interesting.
Yeah. What was their mindset? And that's what came out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird because like Pocahontas was just about like. Because that was the closest I can relate it to. So Pocahontas was really just about like, how do you integrate colonialism, you know? But this one, so basically at the end of the movie, they beheaded the spirit of the forest because you can get a lot of money if you can sell the head. And then the spirit was so angry, he was like gonna kill everyone. And then the main character gave the head back. It was like, no, you can take your head back. But he'd already destroyed the spirit.
Right.
And then at the end of the movie, they're like, oh, we'll build back but with nature, not against nature. And I was like, oh, that's the lesson. Bro.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you try to impart.
Yeah.
Whereas here, it's like, well, what was Pocahontas? You know what I'm saying? Like, what was the lesson? We didn't achieve that. It was still like, she's going to live with the colonizers. There was no, like, harmony. At the end of that movie, there's no, like, let's work together.
I don't remember the end of the movie, but sure.
It's right. Is it right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what Western framing is all about.
Yeah, generally there should be what's the moral of the story kind of thing. I guess that's the
right. Totally, yeah. And the moral typically in the West is individualism, and then in the East it's collectivism. But we studied that in psychology too. Like the East is collectivist and the West is individualistic. That's like a primary theme that kept coming up in like Psychology 101.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I kept like, why? Why is that? Why is that? You know, I never understood it. Like, why are we brought up in a more collectivist way? And you see like the influences. As a kid, you're watching like these movies about getting along with one another, working as a team to overcome any obstacle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Kenshin was like, he's a wanderer, like killed all these people, right? And he's like, best things in my life are my friends. You're like, what? Like that's what you want to impart in kids, you know? Friendship is powerful.
Right.
Be there for your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Name me a Western cartoon that does that.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? It's hard. Yeah. Cultural programming through education. That's the key.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I have to any last thoughts about Oppenheimer, anime, anything else?
No, all good stuff. I do want to watch. There is an anime, an old one, from the Japanese side of the bombs being dropped on them.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I'm telling you, shout out to, or no, pro tip for anyone who's listening. Oh, Darren's here. All right, I have to go.
Okay.
Oh, 1 second. Pro tip for anybody who is curious about where we watch these animes. Aniwatch, ANIWATCH.TV or IO. I can't remember. It's either TV or IO. Enjoy that. But yeah, it has everything. The only problem is like it will have everything, but the really obscure ones are in Japanese, so they're subbed. They're not dubbed.
That's
and I
fun.
can't watch.
Hey.
I know I can't watch. This is like gotta read it. It's like
I think that'd
right.
probably be for that the old anime movie.
Yeah. So for you,
sure
like it'll be there, and then you'll enjoy it as like a sub. Okay, till next week. Gotta grab these Costco groceries. All right. Take it easy, Vish.
Peace.
Bye. All right. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those fun things, and check out our sponsors: Zenro Clothing Co., Portian Bakery, and Podbean. Take it easy, Vish.
Peace.